Brown was fined $50,000 yesterday by the NBA after he accused officials of having an agenda against him during the Celtics series with the Sixers. Brown criticized the officials during a Twitch stream shortly after the Game 7 loss. Then yesterday here on Get Up, Jay Williams had a very interesting thought about a possible trade involving Brown and another superstar.
Regardless of what's happened with Jaylen Brown and how we all interpret that, there are underlying issues, which I do believe. But if that's something that you're feeling within the organization, Mike, and if you do see a guy like Giannis out there, do you go for a Giannis-Jaylen Brown trade? If you're Milwaukee?
That's a great question.
If you're Milwaukee, do you take on Jaylen Brown and say, oh, you know what?
Jay,
absolutely.
Jay, both franchises could benefit from that.
So to be clear, he brings that up because it has been out there a little, not reporting. No one is reporting these conversations are taking place. But, you know, informed speculation, people who speculate about, well, what might happen? Do these things make sense? And you seem to think it was an interesting proposition.
More than interesting, fascinating. Yeah. I mean, you look at Milwaukee and you look at what is it they want, which is different, Vinny, maybe from what they need, as we were talking during the break. Well, Milwaukee is, you know, you're sitting 90 miles from Chicago. When even that franchise is irrelevant, they've had stars. And Milwaukee it's a big, you lived there long enough.
Course.
Milwaukee wants a star player in return. They want to operate with that. Giannis can't be on the court healthy. Talk about Joel Embiid. Giannis, when he gets to the playoffs, is Anthony Davis. He's not out there. So if you can get Jaylen Brown, who is out there, and a star, a first-team All-NBA guy, okay? Now, and if you're Boston, can Giannis help you with Jason Tatum in a way that you're worried going forward that you're not going to get for your tag team for the next year?
So let me respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
I know.
Anything that starts with respectfully is going to be disrespectful.
It's not. I know it's coming.
It's not.
Go.
It's not. Respectfully, Mr. Wilbon. the Chicago tortured fan and you just came out there because the Bulls had nothing to do with this. And you just brought it in.
Milwaukee,
yes,
and you know because you live in the Midwest, you're a Midwestern kid. You know Milwaukee looks at having a star.
Right.
They've had two, Lou Alcindor and Giannis, and they want a star. They want a star in Milwaukee. That's where I'm talking about.
What's the point?
The Boston question is, so you trade Jaylen Brown, who is healthy, who has had a history of playing, and you have Jason Tatum, who is a health issue, and you would trade for Giannis, who is a long-term health issue.
Again, good
How
for
does that make sense?
Great for Milwaukee.
To me,
great for Milwaukee.
I think.
I just asked.
Great for
Let me get
Milwaukee.
windy.
To me, if you're Milwaukee and you're facing this situation with Giannis that he wants out, and you come out of it with Jaylen Brown, that would be so much better of an outcome than I would have expected them to have. It would be unimaginable. When you hear this sort of speculation, it's been out there a little bit. What do you think?
This is extraordinarily simple. Of course it makes sense for Milwaukee. You've got it exactly right, Greeny. Of course Milwaukee would see some of the stuff that Jaylen Brown is saying and watch everything, and they would get ready to call Boston. And from Boston's standpoint, this is very simple. In July, Jaylen Brown has the opportunity to sign a contract extension with the Celtics. If he is happy with the Celtics, it's a huge one. It can be $70 million a year. He's just coming off his best season. You're going to offer it. If he's happy with the Celtics, sign. See you in September. If he's not happy with the Celtics and he's like, listen, I'm not sure I want to be here, trade. Obviously the trade execution would be a little different. This is all going to take care of itself. And like Vinny said, Brown is younger, healthier, and plays the style that has won a championship. I think if you're Boston, you're like, I'm holding on to Jaylen Brown. But if Jaylen Brown doesn't want to be here and he's going to go complain on media for the next year, then he can address it when he doesn't sign the extension and you can deal with it.
A quick reminder, and I know everyone here knows this, Giannis also won a championship and scored 50 points in the decisive game, but that feels like a lifetime ago. Monica, what do you think of it?
I don't think Jaylen Brown is that disgruntled, and maybe I'm naive. But when you really step back and look, they won a championship together. They've been to finals together. They get to Eastern Conference finals together. Like, he's been in a position to achieve things as an individual and be recognized in this league. Do you really want to go and start essentially from scratch in Milwaukee? I do not believe that.
Right. He's going to have.
I do not believe that.
Meaning if you're
Wendy's
him.
right.
If you're him.
It depends
If
on
you're
what
him.
he wants
to Wendy's
largely.
point, yeah, I do not believe that.
But so do we think this Twitch stream stuff reveals, Vinny, something about what Jaylen Brown might want.
Of course it's Freudian, right? Because he said this was his most fun year as a pro, where he was the number one guy on a team that. I don't have a problem with that, because you don't know what's going to happen in May and June when you're going through the regular season. You're going through the process. All you know is how well you are playing relative to the expectations.
I think that statement is less about the fact that he was the number one and the overall process. To me, and maybe I'm
not saying that as a mark against him. I'm saying that this is a mark on where this franchise is going, because you don't know what Jason Tatum is going to look like next year and beyond.
Listen, Dick Vitale told me a long time ago, don't mess with happy. If the grass is not necessarily as green as you might think it is on the other side. Much more basketball all morning. But first, huge event on the ESPN.
SGA, as I mentioned, 18 points last night, snapping his playoff streak of 13 straight games with 20 points. He has failed to reach the 20-point mark in 4 playoff games of the last 2 seasons, compared to just once in the regular season over that span. Here is the league MVP with more.
How would you grade your individual performance tonight?
It was okay. It wasn't my best. It wasn't my worst. I was loose with the ball, had a lot of turnovers. But I think that goes into the rust of not playing for a little bit.
When you play against the world champions, having a guy that averages 34, 6 and 8 and 8 and 9, whatever the hell, that's special. So we have to be better at finding ways to get to the blender, finding ways to get to the paint.
The Morning Buzz treating us to the presence of NBA analyst Michael Wilbon up early with us here on SportsCenter. Michael, SGA got plenty of help from his friends. LeBron, though, who led all scorers in the game with 27, did not. Are the others around LeBron, in your estimation, capable of raising their offensive play to make this a competitive series?
They're going to have to, particularly Austin Reeves. And I know it's still, he was out for a month or so. But 3 for 16 and 8 points from Austin Reeves is not going to cut it. This isn't, 3 or 4 years ago when Austin Reeves was just coming along and trying to find himself and, being integrated into that lineup as a major player. Austin Reeves has got to be there. Averaged 23 points a game during the regular season. So 3 for 16, not going to cut it. Hachimura scored to some degree, but when you look at Luka sitting on that bench, they've got to come up with something other than just LeBron, who got off to that great start, which was necessary. But, a 27-point night from LeBron now, you're asking plenty. You're not going to ask him for a 40-piece, not at this point in the playoffs against a team as good and as deep as Oklahoma City.
Yeah, we'll see if Luka is able to return in this series. Of course, the Lakers could sure use it. Michael, stand by 1 minute because Christina wants to ask you about the other game we saw last night.
Yeah, just 1 minute for game 1 between the Cavs and the Pistons. Cade Cunningham ready to go as always. Pistons were up by 11 here with under 4 to go in the first quarter. Cunningham having a great time. Goes from deep. It's good. Up by 16. James Harden turning it over. Keep that in mind. Ron Holland, the second on the break, finishes plus the foul. So Pistons were cruising up 13 at the break. We're going to take it into the third quarter. Cavs down by 3. It's Cunningham again. Steals it from Harden. Another turnover for the Beard. Asar Thompson there finishing with the jam. Cunningham's 17-point teammates scored 17 points on 70% shooting off of his passes. That's per ESPN tracking. Donovan Mitchell wanted nothing to do with it. Cavs were still down, and Max Strus was going to make this one exciting as well. Quick catch shoot from the corner. That's money. Cavs were down only by 3 early in the fourth. Jalen Duren now with the offensive rebound off the free throw. Duncan Robinson taking full advantage for 3. Got it. Pistons up by 9. It's Robinson again. Scores the floater plus the foul. Was so hyped he decided to yell in James Harden's face. Harden pushes him up. He wasn't having a good night at all. At least here it looked good. Floats went up and in. That was part of a 9-0 Harden run to tie it. Harden again working basically on his own. Drives it, floats it. Duren swats it away though. Duren said, "Let me just remind you that it is my house. I offer you coffee, not the other way around." Cunningham drops it off to Duren for the powerful dunk. Pistons up by 4. Looking to take game 1. Cunningham wanted to make sure of that. And Duren again with another big dunk. 11 points, 12 rebounds for him. Cunningham from the mid-range, from any range really, it was good with 23 points. Pistons up by 7. Danis Jenkins now grabs the loose ball. Let's put a bow on it with the dunk, and does. 23 from Harden, 22 from Mitchell. Not enough because the Pistons take game 1, 111. Michael Wilbon back with us. So let's talk about James Harden, Michael. As I mentioned, 7 turnovers. He blames himself for the loss to Detroit. But what's reasonable to expect from Harden given his history of postseason woes?
That is a great question. 7 turnovers. He was hard on himself, and he needed to be. And so much of the conversation, wow, for a whole career has been about James Harden and inability or failures or coming up short or something going on during the playoffs, particularly deep in the playoffs. Now we're early in the playoffs. Game 1, no 7 turnovers. Look, Detroit has trouble scoring. We know that. But when they get 31 points off 20 turnovers, 7 by Harden, that is a huge contribution, just sort of a gimme for the Pistons, who got the scoring from Tobias Harris and Duncan Robinson they need. But so much of it was off turnovers. So James is right to be hard on himself. The question now is, if he can keep the scoring just where it was, be a little bit more efficient, but there's no way that Cleveland can survive in a series that's been as close. That's 3 games to 2, not in the playoff series, but this season, Detroit over Cleveland. All these games decided closely. 7 turnovers is not going to cut it. So he's going to have to protect the ball much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to add insult to injury, but last night was Harden's 29th career playoff game with more turnovers than made field goals.